Claire couldn't help but laugh silently at Abby's reaction. It didn't help that Bill paid too much attention to the waitress as she took the orders of the adventurers. I get the feeling that Abby is going to drag Bill to more dangerous jobs just because of the way he flirted with the waitress. Abby isn't fond of the few character flaws that Bill has, especially when we were growing up. Claire prayed that Bill would survive Abby's attempt to get rid of the undesirable traits he had. It wouldn't help that he'd be coming along on a job that likely would lead to their deaths. When Claire looked to Tommy, she saw him slightly shaking his head at his younger brother's behavior. It wasn't surprising since Tommy and Abby shared similar demeanors. Their personalities were what likely led them to consider enlisting into the military. "Are you done?" Abby criticized Bill, bringing him back to the conversation. Frowning, Bill asked, "What did I do this time?" Abby rolled her eyes, not wanting to waste the effort. "We should grab the job and see if we can accept it. Even though we have people not matching the level requirements, I think our numbers will make up for it," Tommy suggested to everyone, naturally leading the group. The twins nodded in agreement, eager to take on the job instead of just standing around. Astrid and Frida didn't seem to mind that Tommy had taken the lead. Remembering that they were people without the long familiar bond, Tommy awkwardly smiled at Astrid and Frida. "Sorry, I didn't mean to just take charge there." Shaking her head, Frida raised a hand. "Since this is primarily a job with your families, I don't think it's unreasonable to follow after your lead. We'll go with your decisions." "As long as you don't mind us throwing in our opinions occasionally," Astrid added. Tommy's face brightened after learning that they didn't mind his actions. Nodding his head, "Of course, we'd greatly appreciate any advice you could give us. I'm sure you have experience in areas that we aren't familiar with, so it would be foolish not to listen." "Remembering something," he said, "after we take the job, we'll be heading to grab some supplies. We need to pick up some dried goods, but mostly we'll be eating what we catch." He looked at the two as though confirming if eating what they caught would be okay with them. Astrid grinned, glad to know that we follow similar preparation routines when getting ready. "We have some supplies inside this guild, but they're in our rooms. The only thing we need to top off on are things like ropes, throwing daggers, energy cartridges, and what Tommy mentioned," Abby explained. Seeing how both Tommy, Abby, and the two women were getting along when it came to supplies made Claire smile. It was nice to know that Astrid and Frida were getting along with their family and fitting in. Though she was confident that the two women would fit nicely in with her and Hannah's family, there was always a little worry that there'd be a clash in personality types. Claire quickly ran over to the board. Though it was unlikely, she didn't want someone to grab it at the last moment. "This job might get me eaten, but it's likely the best one to do for what I have in mind." Moving between the adventurers, looking for a job, she quickly spotted the one she'd selected. Pulling the paper, Claire quickly made her way to the counter where they could accept the job. Everyone was waiting for her. They were fortunate to avoid the line, and was talking to one of the guild employees. "There she is," Abby said, pointing at her for the guild employee. Flashing a smile at the woman, Claire handed the employee the paper. Accepting the job with both hands, the woman slightly bowed. "Please be patient while I go over the information." Though Tommy was convinced that there'd be no issues, Claire felt a little anxious as to whether the guild would approve them taking the job. Ultimately, the woman holding the paper was the person who would be making the final call that would determine whether they go out to the forest or not.